So I'd like to start us off for our 2022 Transform Fresno Summit with a video. Leo, if you could play that video for us.
Sure, one moment.
Welcome to the Transform Fresno Annual Summit. My name is DJ Kreiner. I serve as the senior pastor here in the great city of Fresno. And I want to tell you what an honor and a privilege it is to have you with us as we celebrate transforming Fresno in a very real and very transformative way. Man, it seems like just yesterday, we all were together kind of figuring out how Fresno needed to look. And it's interesting how many different individuals came to a table in order to talk about what necessary ingredients needed to go into transforming a great city. Not just transforming it physically, but transforming the ideologies that made Fresno a tale of two cities. And all of a sudden, these magnificent folks from Sacramento blessed Fresno with an awesome opportunity of restarting. You know, it kind of looked like, almost like the Avengers kind of movies, right? How at the beginning you have Captain America movie, which was the very first Marvel Avengers movie, and we had no idea that it would lead to all the Avengers coming together. And then the second one was Iron Man, right? Y'all remember that. And then you have your Spider-Mans, and then of course the greatest movie of all time, we all know, is Black Panther. But all of them were individual movies. And all of a sudden, Avengers: The Civil War came, where you brought all of these different individuals with individual stories on individual parts of their towns or their cities or their countries. They all came together for one purpose. And that was to fix something that was destroyed or fix something that was messed up at the hands of an individual that had a system in place that at the snap of his finger, people would disappear. I wonder if that's what Fresno was going to become. And God, the great Almighty, took different individuals from different parts of our city for the sake of the importance of making sure that Fresno was one city. But remember, in order for everyone to feel as one, those that are from disenfranchised communities, those that feel as if they are marginalized and left behind, those are the individuals that sometimes need the most encouragement and support. In our city, that was probably downtown. That was probably Chinatown. That was probably West Fresno. Now all of a sudden, because these great Avengers have come together for the sake and for the purpose of transforming a magnificent city into a greater city. Once all these projects that were once on paper come together, we will finally see the manifestation of the glory of God, not just figuratively speaking on a piece of paper. When we see buildings go up, when we have ribbon cuttings and we see magnificent people walking inside of a building that they never had the thought that they could have as theirs. We can finally see places where at one point were food deserts all of a sudden have a transformation of brownfields into beautiful, magnificent $1.4 million buildings and distribution centers. What about an entire community that has been forgotten, but at one point was a thriving part of our city called Chinatown, finally seeing the increase of economic resources in their communities? Oh, Thanos can't snap his finger anymore. Today, you're gonna see what all the planning and the sweat and the hard work was all about. And the beauty about it is that by the time today is over with, we can finally cry out that we're no longer Fresno, we're Fres Yes. Because the community has come together for the sake of transforming a great city. So congratulations. The hard work is almost over. The sweat is almost done. The laughter is about to take place, and the joy and the glory of God is about to finally be seen amongst all of God's children here in Fresno. So to each of you, whether you're the Black Panther, the Black Widow, the Spider-Man, the Iron Man, or the Captain America, I say to you, as the Nick Fury, congratulations for being an Avenger and for avenging all of the sweat and the social injustice that has taken place before today. It's over.
Wow.
Wow, what a great video. Thank you to Jose Moreno and the team at Fresno EOC for creating that video, and many, many thanks to Pastor DJ Kreiner for narrating the video in a way that only he can do. Great job, everyone. Now I'd like to introduce our first speaker. Lynn von Koch-Liebert is the Executive Director for the Strategic Growth Council, or SGC. SGC saw the value in Fresno and the plans that we had to truly transform downtown Chinatown and Southwest Fresno by awarding $66.5 million to implement our community chosen projects. With that, I will turn it over to you, Lynn.
Thank you, Courtney. And just really echoing what a wonderful, wonderful way to kick off this annual summit. That video was incredible, incredibly moving, and just a testament to how much has been done already with this amazing program. And so, good morning. I'm very pleased to be with you this morning. I want to thank you all for the invitation to participate in your annual summit. As we all know, the state is facing unprecedented challenges from the impacts of climate change and affordability during a historic pandemic. And what has become very clear is that some communities have just been harder hit than others. Communities that have been historically marginalized have felt the impact of these challenges more, while continuing to serve as the backbone of our society within the agricultural sector, in the service sector, and beyond. This is why trailblazing legislators, public servants, and community advocates came together to seek a transformation from the status quo. And how Transform Fresno demonstrates this path forward, working with community members to envision a future that is healthy and happy for all. The Transformative Climate Community Program focuses on equitable development through a place-based and community-driven approach in historically marginalized communities who are facing impacts from climate change, pollution, and disinvestment. As was mentioned in the video, Transform Fresno is centering efforts in Southwest Fresno. And as the TCC program's largest investment, it is serving as a model for community investment that the state hopes can be replicated throughout all of California. The $66.5 million invested by the state has translated to over $122 million in matching funds, demonstrating the power of community voice and participation in the state's largest participatory budget process ever. Now, what is just as important, if not more important than the funding, is that the trust created by bringing community members into the planning process. We at the Strategic Growth Council are excited to invest in projects that have been identified by community members closest to the challenge, because we believe you are also closest to the solutions. I have been fortunate to visit Fresno twice in the last few months and have been consistently inspired by the work that is happening here. The dozens of projects that work together to form this program are all doing visionary, community-led, transformative climate work. And I applaud you all for your creativity, your perseverance, and your leadership. I know you have an exciting agenda today, so I will refrain from mentioning all of the projects, but I would like to highlight two programs that I think epitomize the value of TCC and Transform Fresno. First, the Yosemite Village Permaculture Community Garden and Urban Farm Incubator Project. I was so excited to meet the farmers in training and community members who were using the permaculture garden allotments to help tackle food insecurities, extreme heat, and economic mobility. Together, they've developed a garden leadership committee and are planning to add a community orchard of 120 fruit trees between the garden and the future Southwest Fresno Trail. Further, the deeply personal story of Farmer Miguel is one which highlights how this collaborative effort is transforming lives. Farmer Miguel has worked in the fields and as a street vendor for over 10 years in the United States. He had always dreamt of owning his own farm, as his father had 8 acres, and where he grew up working alongside his brothers. After not seeing that opportunity in working in the farm fields here, he started his own business selling ice cream, but always with an eye on getting back to farming. Speaking of his dreams with his social worker, he got connected with Yeovil Farms, led by the project partner Fresno Metro Ministry. And in May 2021, he was able to start farming in the incubation program and learned regenerative agriculture with Yeovil's ecosystem farming approach, leaving the land more fertile than when he started. Since then, he's gotten his seller's permit and boxes his produce locally as Fresno Farm Box. Farmer Miguel has now outgrown his half-acre lot and is now actively looking for land to continue to pursue his dream. The second program I'd like to highlight is the new West Fresno Satellite College campus, which leveraged over $70 million as a result of the $15 million TCC grant and the educational and workforce opportunities it will provide. Phase 1, which is incredibly exciting, will include the largest electric vehicle and automotive program west of the Mississippi, setting up West Fresno as a leader and a first mover in the rapidly growing electric vehicle industry. Transformation of the entire Southwest neighborhood as part of the MLK Park that will include open space and mixed-use housing. Now, this design process was informed by community engagement that led to amenities that support the community vision, providing a welcoming public space, helping to reduce urban heat, improving public health, and building an extensive bicycle and pedestrian pathway that will connect to the overall city transportation plan. While visiting the site a few months ago, I heard testimony from a West Fresno community and anti-displacement advocate who shared that not only did this process give him and others voice in the location, but once at the table, they were also successful in shaping the curriculum and the campus design to reflect the community needs. Now, since visiting Transform Fresno and other TC sites around the state, I have been reflecting on what is leading to the outcomes that we're seeing in Fresno and other TCC locations. My team and I have come up with a few key unique elements that we believe are important to understanding how this is working so well. We have done this with the explicit goal of helping to educate and replicate the successes that we are seeing in Fresno and around the state. I'm calling this the TCC secret sauce. The first is that it's a community-led multi-benefit project, building a framework that empowers communities to design projects to meet multiple needs simultaneously. Second is that we award substantial award amounts with a match structure. That match structure helps lead to catalytic investments in community design within the TCC and all of the leverage resources. Third is a collaborative stakeholder structure. Hyper-local community groups at the table from design through implementation. Fourth, flexible readiness requirements and ongoing technical assistance done to support and ensure participation, even if projects and teams need more time. And fifth, and finally, humility in approach. Understanding that shared goals drive the decisions and that we might not get it perfect right away. The guiding philosophy of partnership and trust is important to get through the bumps and get to those outcomes. Now, what this program has demonstrated with the exciting future in the West Fresno Satellite Campus and by Farmer Miguel's success and by the many other projects that are being implemented by many of you here today is that together with genuine community collaboration and well-designed program framework, we can transform the lives of individuals and communities. We can tackle our greatest challenges and we can create a more resilient future. My plan is to share what I'm seeing in Fresno, as well as Oakland, Pacoima, Watts, Ontario, Stockton, Sacramento, and San Fernando Valley, so that other communities can learn from what's happening in this truly unique program. So as the state TCC leads, my request to Transform Fresno is to keep going. What you are doing is working, and it serves as a model that will help so many other communities around California build healthy, thriving, resilient communities. So thank you for the work that you are doing. I wish you a very successful summit. And again, congratulations for making such a historic impact in your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Our keynote speaker this morning needs no introduction. He is the mayor of the 5th largest city in California and works 7 days a week promoting positive changes in Fresno. He leads from the front, and when he's not picking up trash to beautify our city, he's a problem solver and currently working to get more affordable housing in Fresno and recruit new businesses to our city. Please help me welcome Mayor Jerry Dyer.
Well, thank you, Courtney. What an honor.
Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias por coordinar este esfuerzo.
If we can have the Spanish interpreter go to the Spanish channel, please.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you.
Muchas gracias. Oh, sorry.
Okay. Well, thank you, Courtney. I do appreciate all that you've done in terms of hosting this Transform Fresno meeting, as well as the one last year, and for playing such a really a critical role in this, again, not just the annual summit, but all you've done for Transform Fresno. And you're right in terms about problem solving.
Escucha.
We don't have a shortage of problem solvings and or problems to be solved in Fresno. And so that's something that I really do enjoy tackling. And then in terms of Beautify Fresno, I'm getting ready to head to another event this morning in Southeast Fresno. And I really do believe in that. But it's an honor for me to be able to join Lynn this morning in kicking off this annual Transform Fresno Summit. To be honest with you, I feel very, very fortunate to be the mayor of this city, to be able to show up to so many of the groundbreakings and ribbon cutting ceremonies that this group has been involved in, and since really the inception in 2018. And that's when it really all began in an impressive showing, and through a series of community engagement events, a community steering committee of 165 residents who voted on the 24 projects that ultimately went forward, which we now refer to as Transform Fresno. In 2019, the city of Fresno was awarded a $66.5 million grant through the Strategic Growth Council through Transformative Climate Communities. And the vision at that time, and still is to fund projects that are centered around environmental and economic solutions in our community here in Fresno, and a community that is extremely near and dear to my heart, and that is the downtown area, the Chinatown area, West Fresno. All of those sometimes are referred to as the forgotten part of Fresno. And so today, Transform Fresno does cover that 5 square mile area that I just referred to. And our goal is very simple, and it's to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to improve the overall health of our residents who live, again, in a neighborhood that has historically been one of the worst in the nation in terms of air quality. With that $66.5 million in grant money from the state, and another $122 million in local funding, these projects that I mentioned and will be elaborating on shortly also started to improve the overall health of our residents in West Fresno. They've also allowed for rent stability, housing sustainability for those residents. And that is so important today as we live in an unprecedented housing crisis, not only in our city, but throughout the state of California. And so what I'd like to do this morning, if I can, is just take a few minutes to cover some of the highlights and share what Transform Fresno partners are working on to accomplish in these communities. And I'd like to begin with something that is the most visible. In fact, there was a slide of it in DJ Kreiner's video. And it's a 56 unit, 4-story housing complex located in Fresno's Chinatown area. And that is a net zero complex that will provide both mixed use and which is residential and commercial spaces adjacent to it. And adjacent to it will be the newly planned first of its kind in the nation high-speed rail station, which will be right in downtown Fresno, next to this development. So I cannot wait to see that particular project get finalized. And then the second project that I want to touch on briefly is we are sorely lacking in trees in Fresno. And so to be able to have over 1,300 trees to be planted in this project area, 250 resident homes will receive solar at no cost to them, and 5 Fresno housing complexes will gain new solar systems to be able to reduce energy costs to those tenants. We have constructed a 7.5 acre community garden with 90 individual garden plots for interested residents to grow produce. And in addition, 3 half-acre plots are used for larger permaculture training techniques, as well as farm incubation. We will be planning the 1-acre community garden soon. That will include a walkable orchard within it. And also 4 miles of trails to be installed in this project area. And I think one of the things that we found during the pandemic was that this particular area was impacted more than others in terms of health. People that had contracted COVID got seriously ill or died. And it's because of the poor health conditions of those folks who live there. So the more we can do to get people outdoors and to be walking, to be exercising, they're going to be able to improve their health and not be susceptible to these types of viruses. 170 single family homes in this area will receive energy efficiency modifications, again, with the goal of reducing energy costs. And for those of you who don't know, I've been spending a lot of energy and time fighting for the folks throughout our community, throughout the valley as well, to prevent the incredible increase in PG&E rates that we are starting to see. And in this year alone, 22% increase in energy costs that we're seeing. And in 2023 projected to be another 18%. So we are fighting feverishly against those rate increases. Electric vehicles, bikes, and buses will be purchased along with charging infrastructure. This will be utilized throughout the project area, as well as van pools that will be utilized to and from some of our larger employment facilities like Amazon and the Ulta warehouse, which many of our residents in this area work at. We're augmenting a current food to share program with the rehabilitation of a food rescue and redistribution site. And that will divert approximately 1 million pounds of edible, healthy food from landfills to residents who are in need. So that is an incredible project in and of itself. There'll be a new 10-acre community park, which will be the first park in this area constructed in decades. The first community park to be constructed in decades in this area. I wanted to repeat that because sometimes we take for granted some of the green space that we have within our communities, but I can guarantee you they do not take it for granted in West Fresno. And it will be located adjacent to the new college campus that Lynn spoke of, that will encompass trees, walking trails, storm water retention, and groundwater recharge capabilities. So very excited about that project. Nearly 3.5 miles of new bike lanes will be incorporated throughout the project area. As in terms of workforce, we all know that we need more good paying jobs within our community. These projects will total 400 or provide 406 residents will be trained in areas of low emission or no emission truck driver training, welding, solar installation, and as well as some basic construction skills that they're going to be provided. And finally, one of the projects I wanted to highlight is the fact that we will be constructing street improvements for approximately 2 miles of roadway in this area with new sidewalks, curbs, gutters, tree canopies, and lighting. And I want to emphasize this is in addition to the work that's already being done in West Fresno with neighborhood improvements with the American Rescue Funds, as well as future dollars that we're going to be receiving from the federal government in the Build Back Better program. So Transform Fresno really does embody my vision for One Fresno. We have too many neighborhoods today that have been left behind, that do not feel like they are loved. And that is why I believe so much in One Fresno. No matter what neighborhood you believe you live in, no matter what your house looks like, regardless of your political affiliation, everyone deserves to have a great place to live and a great neighborhood to grow up in. That's why I believe in the vision to have an inclusive, prosperous, beautiful city where people take pride in their neighborhoods and community, and to have a government that listens, keeps its promises, and is owned by the people. What we want to demonstrate to the folks who live in West Fresno is that they're no longer forgotten, that we are keeping our promise to take care of them, to remember them, to listen to them. And we want them to know not only do they own our government is responding to their needs. And so we're not only investing in these projects, but we're investing in the lives of the people who live in these neighborhoods, people who have oftentimes gone without food, people who don't have the same educational opportunities, do not have the same housing opportunities, do not have the role models in their life that would allow them to grow up to be successful. We owe this to them. Just last week, I had the pleasure of participating in the first graduation ceremony for the Voice Gladiator Welding Program. And so 17 of our Fresno residents now have the skills and the certification to seek high-paying careers, not just jobs so they can get by or pay the bills, but jobs that will ultimately allow them to own their own home, to take their family on a vacation. Our plans include training over 108 people as welders and providing them with mentoring, job placement, and wraparound services to ensure that they have long-term success. That's in addition to a program I launched yesterday, a workforce development program for youth as part of the Jobs Corps, $7.4 million grant, focusing on those individuals that are hard to hire, which is people that have been touched by the criminal justice system, timing out of the foster system, people who have faced an addiction, all of those people we are providing jobs to in Fresno. And that, again, is in addition to what we're doing with Transform Fresno. And so in closing, really, as I mentioned, I've really enjoyed being able to participate in some of the Transform Fresno related events. Last month I was at a ribbon cutting ceremony at our Clean Shared Mobility project that established an innovation and mobility hub in downtown Fresno as part of with the Black Chamber. And so there are a lot of things happening with Transform Fresno. And Courtney, I just want you to know, keep those invitations coming to me. I will be more than happy to do ribbon cuttings and groundbreaking ceremonies. But most importantly, what I am looking forward to is seeing West Fresno, Chinatown, downtown, transformed into the city that will truly become One Fresno. Thank you. And God bless all of you on the call for what you're doing. And Courtney, again, thank you for seeing this project through. We're almost there. We're almost there. And we're going to look back in several years and we're going to say, man, what happened to Southwest Fresno? God bless you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. So that concludes our opening session. I want to remind everyone all sessions are being recorded and will be posted on the Transform Fresno website next week, along with all of the presentation materials. So we will now close the session and invite you to attend one of our next sessions, which is the Yeovil Garden live stream with our partner Fresno Metro Ministry, or the Future of Fresno City College's West Fresno Center with the team at Fresno City College. If you're having trouble finding those links to the next sessions, please visit www.transformfresno.com and click on the summit page, and you will see links to all of the sessions. Sessions will not be live until their respective times, and we hope you all can join us. Thank you so much.